My childhood friend Willow has always been a refined girl since we were little, as long as I'm the one paying. She only drinks specialty coffee. And only chooses expensive places to eat, the adults used to tell me. Women are like flowers, only if you treat her well and are willing to spend money on her can she become your wife. They even joked, telling me to start saving up for the bride price. Back then, I truly believed it, until one day. I checked the moments of her so-called best male friend, Makoto. In the video, Willow was doing that big pendulum dance in a restaurant. Caption, LOL, didn't bring enough money for hotpot. So we just had Willow dance a bit for the boss to attract customers. And also, our little rich girl Willow lost to me at billiards again. I'll gladly take the limited edition sneakers. Seeing that, I thought, didn't she always say that spending money on men brings bad luck for life? So, when she messaged me saying, I saw a necklace, it's so pretty. Fell in love with it at first sight. I didn't hesitate for even a second. I blocked and deleted her immediately. Later, during Chinese New Year, both families had a dinner together. At the table, people joked with me again. George, have you saved enough bride price to marry Willow? My mom was grinning from ear to ear. She said, no need to save any more. George's girlfriend is coming over tomorrow. Willow's expression changed instantly. She frowned and said, what girlfriend? Why don't I know about this? Chapter 1. Hubby, kiss me a little longer, please. Anna's voice was hazy, her gaze lingering and soft, almost melting. I said, that's about enough, isn't it? We've been kissing for quite a while. She pouted. What do you mean, enough? I won't get to see you during winter break. In the mirror, the woman sank into the sofa, the Bulgari necklace on her neck refracting scattered glimmers like broken starlight. Her arms were wrapped around my neck. Fabric brushed softly, blending with the intimate sounds of lips and breath entwined. In public, she carried herself like an aloof, untouchable ice queen, but when she was with me, she became so passionate it was almost overwhelming. A loud, explosive ringtone suddenly broke the atmosphere. Anna let out a soft hum, but didn't stop kissing. I gently patted her back. Only then did she slowly loosen her hold on my arm. She straightened my collar and said, go ahead and take it. I glanced at the caller ID on the screen. It was Willow, my childhood friend. Chapter 2. I walked out onto the balcony. As soon as I picked up, her voice came through immediately. George, you've got some nerve. If I don't reach out first, you just won't contact me at all, and you're even giving me the silent treatment now. Her tone carried accusation. I frowned slightly. What do you need? She sounded annoyed. What do you mean, what do I need? Winter break's almost here. Don't tell me you forgot to book my train ticket. Remember, I want a 2-seat row by the window. Don't mess up and get a 3-seat one again. Got it? A male voice came from her side. Willow, are you arguing or trying to make up? You sound like a ticking bomb. Do you even know how to act cute? Ever heard of a soft, sweet tone? Do I seriously have to coach you on this? Him again. Makoto, Willow's so-called best male friend. Also the very reason Willow and I ended up in a Cold War not long ago. Willow snorted. Mind your own business. I don't need you teaching me. I lifted my gaze toward the glass door. Inside, Anna sat at the tea table. Her slender fingers held a teacup, and the curling steam softened the space between her brows. She had already returned to that elegant, composed, almost untouchable demeanor she showed in front of others. From the phone, George, are you still there? I won't be going back with you, I said. Someone's giving me a ride. I didn't want to explain too much to Willow. If I did, she'd just keep pressing me with endless questions. Such a waste of time. It was annoying. She replied. Who would be kind enough to give you a ride? Don't tell me their name is train driver. Willow chuckled at her own joke. Speechless, I said. My girlfriend. She cut me off. Stop being stubborn. If you don't book it soon, you won't get tickets later, and then you'll regret it. Then she added, we'll meet at the East Gate the day after tomorrow. I've got a lot of luggage, so come early. Before I could respond, she hung up. I went back inside. Anna handed me a cup of pu'er tea, her tone cool and calm. Finished? Yeah. I took a sip. The tea was slightly sweet, spreading across my tongue, washing away my irritation from earlier. She asked, that call just now, was that the childhood friend you mentioned? I had told Anna about Willow before. I'd also told her how close our families were, and how we'd even been arranged into a childhood betrothal. I scratched my head. Yeah, that's her. She narrowed her eyes and leaned closer, her fingertip lightly pressing against my chest. Her voice turned low and alluring. You talked for 5 minutes. What could possibly take that long? I swallowed. She wanted me to buy train tickets and go home with her. As soon as I said that, her brows tightened slightly. I quickly added, but don't worry, I already turned her down. At the word turned down, a satisfied smile finally appeared on her lips. Good, she said. At least you know what's appropriate. If you have a girlfriend, you should know to keep your distance from other girls. She leaned in and kissed my lips lightly. That's your reward. Taking advantage. I asked, can I get a bigger reward? She smiled faintly. The next second, she swung herself onto my lap, her fingers moving unhurriedly as she began unbuttoning my shirt one button at a time. Moments later, Anna lifted her gaze. Her breath brushed against my skin, warm, teasing, impossible to ignore. My body reacted instantly. Anna leaned softly against me, her breathing growing slightly uneven. Chapter 3. Back at the dorm. In my hands was the late-night snack Anna had made for me. My roommate shouted, "George is back." Damn, more late-night food again. George, what kind of goddess-tier girlfriend do you have? All three of them jumped down from their beds, their eyes filled with nothing but hunger for the food. One of them said, "Oh right, your childhood friend waited downstairs at the dorm for you for a long time last night." I asked, "You sure she was looking for me?" He replied, "Yeah, I went downstairs to grab food, and she even asked me where you went. I didn't tell her though." Speechless, I said, "I have no idea what's gotten into her. Are you two still having a falling out?" Another roommate asked. I shrugged. "Not exactly. It's just that my girlfriend doesn't want me getting too close to her." Before going to bed, Anna sent a photo she had taken after her shower. She was wrapped in a towel, barely covering herself, revealing a large expanse of alluring, snow-white skin. She called it checking in. In the name of keeping me updated, she said, "Hubby, I'm going to sleep." A cute goodnight sticker popped up. I curled my lips into a smile, my mood instantly lifting. I replied, "Good night." Chapter 4. Early the next morning, the moment I walked out of the dorm building, Willow stopped me. "George, stop right there. I just said I liked a necklace. I didn't even ask you to buy it. Was it really necessary for you to block me?" She spoke irritably. "Do you really think I wanted it? I just wanted to see your attitude. Who knew you'd be this stingy?" She was holding soy milk and buns, snorting lightly as she said, "And don't act like you're the only one who spends money on me while ignoring what I've done for you. Here, breakfast I bought for you. Feel better now." What was that even supposed to mean? Something from half a year ago, and now she suddenly wanted me to calm down. And I was the one who didn't see her effort. Sure, it wasn't like she'd never bought me anything. Cheap cups, toothbrushes worth a few dollars, a mousepad under 10, and now these half-hearted buns and soy milk. I said flatly, "What am I supposed to be mad about? I'm not angry. You can keep the breakfast. I've already eaten." Just then, someone came out of the boys' dorm. It was Makoto, Willow's best friend. The moment he saw Willow, his eyes lit up. He grinned and said, "Well, look at you being so filial today, bringing breakfast for your dad." "Huh?" He swaggered over and casually slung an arm around Willow's shoulders like it was the most natural thing in the world. Willow's birthday party, that was the first time I met Makoto. Before that, I'd often heard Willow say she was staying over at a friend's place. I just hadn't expected that friend to be a guy. When Makoto found out about the childhood betrothal between Willow and me, he suddenly burst out laughing and said, "Damn, I can't believe there are still parents arranging marriages like this in this day and age. What a piece of feudal garbage. This really opens my eyes." I immediately felt a bit annoyed. I frowned and said, "What do you mean, feudal garbage? If you don't know how to speak properly, then just keep your mouth shut." He immediately raised his hands in mock surrender. Sorry, I'm just straightforward by nature. I joke around like this with Willow all the time." I replied, "That's not being straightforward, that's being brainless." Willow said to me, "George, that's just how Makoto is. He's always messing around. Don't take it seriously." Later, Makoto even came over to apologize to me. He also added me on social media. Only afterward did I realize it was intentional. He wanted me to see his posts, and I did exactly what he wanted. I was shocked by what I saw. One video showed Willow dancing provocatively in a restaurant. The caption read, "LMAO, didn't bring enough money for hotpot, so we had Willow put on a little dance to attract customers." Another post said, "Our little rich girl Willow lost to me at pool again. Guess I'll be taking those limited edition sneakers." In his posts, Willow was lively and proactive. She'd eat street food with him, drink cheap milk tea, and even spend money on him willingly, handing over limited edition sneakers without hesitation. But when she went out with me before that, she would only drink Starbucks and only eat at aesthetic, picture-perfect restaurants. As for gifts, she always said that women who spend money on men are unlucky for life. Even on my birthday, the gift she gave me was just a 9 mousepad bought from a second-hand site. I remembered how, when I was young, the adults used to say things like this too. They told me that women were like flowers, you had to treat them well and be willing to spend money on them for them to become your wife. They even joked that I should start saving up a bride price early. Back then, I believed it completely. I kept it in my heart, until I saw Makoto's posts. Only then did I realize I had been a complete fool. When Willow's father went bankrupt and her family fell on hard times, My parents often invited her over for meals, and I would frequently use my allowance to treat her to good food. Even later, when her father's business recovered, she still kept the habit of asking me for things whenever she wanted. Chapter 5. During the latter half of a gathering, one of Willow's roommates, for some reason, tried to persuade her. Willow, a necklace that costs nearly $10,000 is way too expensive, isn't it? Aren't you planning to get married after graduation? You can't expect him to both spend money on you and save up a bride price at the same time, right? Willow, tipsy and bleary-eyed from drinking, probably forgot that I happened to be there as well. She said, "The bride price is his problem, not mine. Why should I compromise myself for him? Even if it weren't me, would he not have to pay a bride price to marry someone else? If he can't afford it, why should I marry him? Men are supposed to spend money on women. If a man can't even support a woman, what kind of man is he?" Her roommate looked conflicted and said to me, "Maybe Willow is just talking out of anger." So that's how it was. So that's what Willow really thought. After she sobered up, I threw the 9 mousepad she had given me back to her and said, "With me, it's always take, take, take. But when it's Makoto, suddenly you know how to behave. No more making demands, willing to eat street food, no more slow to warm up, suddenly proactive, even willing to spend money buying him shoes. If you like him that much, then just date him. Don't hide behind this so-called pure friendship," she replied. "What nonsense are you talking about? How could I possibly like Makoto? He's irresponsible and has no backbone. What girl would like someone like him?" Willow looked even angrier than I was. She said, "The reason I gave Makoto those things is because he's a financially struggling student. It reminded me of how I used to be when I was in a tough spot. To avoid hurting his pride, I used playing pool as an excuse to give him things and help him." I laughed. "What is this? Some kind of savior complex? How come I've never seen you give me anything decent?" Willow looked confused. "Your family isn't as poor as his. You already have everything you want. Why are you comparing yourself to him?" "George, you're a grown man. Can you stop being so petty?" I knew there was no way to make Willow understand, so I stopped wasting my breath on her. During those days, I felt restless and weighed down. I often went for walks along the riverside. Wandering aimlessly made my thoughts clearer, and I began to figure out many things. It even felt like a sudden moment of enlightenment, almost like a personal awakening. So many things elders had said, things Willow had said, the overwhelming motivational messages flooding social media and video platforms, and the layered, interconnected standards and definitions of so-called male responsibility. Under my repeated reflection, they all gradually lost their power to convince me. One time, I saw a young couple by the river. The girl gave her boyfriend a huge bouquet of flowers. Her boyfriend looked surprised and asked, "You bought me flowers too? Isn't it usually guys who give flowers to girls?" But the girl replied, "You like me, so you give me flowers. I like you, so I want to give you flowers too." Giving flowers is about liking someone, not because you owe me anything. I froze for a moment, standing by the bridge, staring at the river as I reflected on life. That was when Anna appeared. She grabbed my arm and pulled me back, urgently trying to persuade me not to do anything reckless. I was speechless. She thought I was about to jump. Later on, I found out she was also a student at C University, and that's how everything that followed began. Chapter 6. Coming back to my senses, I found myself standing downstairs outside the dorm. Willow was pulling Makoto's arm off her shoulder. "Let go. I'm talking about something serious," she said. Makoto acted as if he had just noticed me and exclaimed, "Oh, here to beg for a reconciliation. Want me to give you some tips?" Willow frowned. "Get lost. Don't mess things up." Makoto patted his chest proudly. "Don't underestimate me. I'm a veteran in relationships." I had no interest in watching their little back and forth act. Willow liking to make male friends was her business. I just grew up with her. It didn't mean I was her boyfriend. There was no need for me to get worked up. Before leaving campus, there was still a lecture that could earn extra credits. I walked past the two of them and headed toward the academic building. But unexpectedly, Willow and Makoto followed behind me at some point. Willow deliberately raised her voice and said, "Makoto, go refund your train ticket." Makoto looked confused. "Huh? Why would I refund it? There's a cancellation fee, you know," Willow said. "I'm going back with you. Refund it and book 2 seats together." Makoto hesitated. "But my home is still 100 kilometers away from yours. Is that okay? And the ticket money?" Willow let out a light scoff and continued as if talking to herself. "I originally planned to go back with someone, but who knew he'd be so ungrateful? Compared to him, I'd much rather go back with my friend. Of course, if someone changes his mind and apologizes, maybe I'll reconsider." I silently quickened my pace. To be honest, ever since I started dating someone like Anna, a mature and composed woman, Willow seemed increasingly childish in comparison. During my lowest days, Anna told me that someone like me, ranked first in my major for 3 consecutive years and already guaranteed a postgraduate spot, was already outstanding. Someone like Willow simply wasn't worth it. I guess I wasn't thinking straight back then. What on earth was I into? Chapter 7. Arriving at the lecture hall. The early bird roommates had already secured seats in the back row. "George, over here, premium seats," one of them called out. The guest hadn't arrived yet, and out of habit, I headed toward the back. I sent Anna a photo of the classroom. I complained. "Another boring lecture." She replied quickly. "How boring?" I sent a yawning emoji. "So boring I'm getting sleepy. Might fall asleep," she said. "Then I'll come find you at school." I instantly perked up. "Really? You don't have work today?" she replied. "Then look up." I lifted my head. There she was, dressed in a white silk blouse and a black skirt, her features cool and distant. It was Anna. The entire classroom noticed her almost instantly and erupted into excitement. Students shouted, "Whoa, Anna Senior. It's actually Anna Senior." Anna was 3 years ahead of me and also an alumna of C University. During her time at school, she had already formed a team, and the apps they developed went viral across the internet. Students at C University all called her a goddess. My roommate nudged my arm. "Look, your girlfriend, the late-night snack goddess of dorm 425 is here." I had been sitting in the last row, but immediately ran to the front. Grinning foolishly, I stared at Anna, while she secretly gave me a little wink. My mood soared, until Willow's voice suddenly sounded beside my ear. She let out a cold snort and said, "So you still know to come sit next to me, huh?" Chapter 8. I turned my head. Willow was sitting right behind me. I looked at her, confused. "You're overthinking it. I'm here to see my goddess, Anna." Willow's smile stiffened slightly. She said, "Goddess?" She looked toward the stage, rolled her eyes, and said, "Stay in your lane, men. She's obviously my goddess. Since when did she become yours?" I didn't bother responding. I moved to an even closer row. Anna's lecture was both professional and engaging, and on top of that, her face was so stunning it was almost unreal. I even secretly recorded a bit of it. After the lecture, there was a Q&A session. As expected, aside from professional questions, someone asked, "Anna Senior, it's almost New Year, can I introduce you to a boyfriend?" Anna replied, "Sorry, I don't answer questions unrelated to the topic, but I'll say this." She paused, then curved her lips into a smile. "I already have a boyfriend, so there's no need for introductions." She looked in my direction, her eyes filled with gentle warmth. I feel like it's even harder to hold back my smile than trying to hold back an AK machine gun. My roommate couldn't help complaining. "Damn, single guys like me can't stand this kind of public display of affection. You two might as well just go on stage and make it official right now." After the lecture ended, Anna still had matters to discuss with the school, so she left the classroom first. Chapter 9. I packed my things, getting ready to leave. Beside me, Makoto lowered his voice and said to Willow, "Didn't expect it. George actually likes the mature woman type." Willow's tone carried an inexplicable sourness. "Shut up. What makes you think that?" she said. Makoto chuckled. "Didn't you see how he was staring just now? Even pulled out his phone to record." I looked at them. "Why don't you two gossip a little louder while you're at it?" "You're right, I do like her." "Got a problem with that? Anna is beautiful and independent. Isn't it perfectly normal to like someone like her?" Willow bit her lower lip tightly, the jealousy in her tone becoming even more obvious. "But she already has a boyfriend." "Stop thinking about it," she said, frowning. "And don't forget, we still have a childhood betrothal." "What?" I said, pretending to be surprised. "People still believe in this kind of feudal nonsense, marriages arranged by parents and matchmakers." Those were Makoto's exact words before. Willow froze for a moment, not reacting right away. I stood up and walked straight out of the classroom. Ding! A message popped up on my phone. It was from Willow. She said, "Wait for me. I know a Japanese restaurant. We can go eat together." "Okay, you don't have to pay. I'll treat you." "Consider it my apology," I replied. "Sorry, I already have plans." After seeing my reply, Willow's face filled with irritation. She huffed. "Why didn't I realize before that he's so impossible to deal with?" Makoto said to her, "Heh, maybe George already has someone new." Willow shot him a look. "What nonsense are you talking about? Our families are so close. If he had a girlfriend, how could I not know? Besides, we have a childhood betrothal. He's supposed to be responsible for me if he dares to mess around and then abandon me." Makoto clicked his tongue and cut her off. "Yeah, right," Willow said irritably. "Come with me later to pick out a nicer keyboard, something over 100. I'll give it to him for New Year." Makoto smirked. "Oh wow, now you regret it, trying to win him back with some self-righteous, 'Look how much I've done' move." Willow snapped. "George was right. If you don't know how to talk, then just shut up." Chapter 10. Not long after leaving the academic building, I received a message from Anna. "Hubby, let's have a meal together after I'm done." I replied, "Sure, let's meet at 12. After getting into the car, there was unmistakable joy in Anna's eyes. I asked, "What do you want for dinner?" She said, "Let's try Peruvian food. I just saw a restaurant online, are you interested?" She showed me the video she had found. I smiled. "Sounds good, let's give it a try." Since I had only recently gotten my driver's license, halfway through the drive, things started to feel off. Looking at the barren surroundings, I finally realized, wait, where did the navigation take me? Why am I in the outskirts? This was way too awkward. I glanced at Anna sheepishly. Seeing my strange expression, Anna looked around cautiously. "Why did you stop here?" It turns out, when people feel awkward, they really do pretend to be busy. Noticing she seemed a bit uncomfortable in the passenger seat, I quickly adjusted her seat backward and reclined it slightly. Just as I leaned in to fasten her seatbelt, Anna's body trembled slightly. She asked, "What are you doing?" Biting her lip, she said, "No, even though I'm your girlfriend, I'm not that kind of casual woman. How could you do something like that in the car?" When we had just started dating, Anna had indeed been reserved and shy. She would even blush from just a kiss, until one day, she accidentally saw my browsing history, which turned out to be quite wild. Just as I was about to explain, she didn't get angry or question me. Instead, she took off her glasses. Those eyes of hers, usually gentle, became direct, almost burning. She said, "Hubby, you should have told me earlier you liked this kind of thing." The next day, she wore a sheer white mesh dress and got stuck against the washing machine. From top to bottom, I didn't leave a single inch untouched. Her breathless sounds still seemed to echo in my ears. She had said, "No, we can't. How could we do this here?" Thinking back on that, I suddenly understood everything. Chapter 11. After returning to my hometown, my mom and I were picking blueberries in the yard she had planted. She told me to bring some over for Willow's parents. I walked into Willow's house and placed a basket of blueberries on the coffee table in their living room. Just as I turned to leave, I ran into Willow coming downstairs. She picked up a blueberry and popped it into her mouth. Then suddenly, in an affected, cutesy voice, she said, "So sweet, darling, feed me." I had no idea where she learned that tone from. It made my skin crawl. I said, Stop acting weird." Just then, someone else came down from the second floor. It was her friend, Makoto. Wearing loose pajamas and looking half asleep, he said, "Willow, I'm hungry. Hurry up and get me some breakfast." Willow pursed her lips and explained, "The train was delayed last night. By the time we arrived, it was already past midnight. Makoto's home is still over 80 kilometers away, so I let him stay here for the night." Makoto yawned and added, Yeah, we're just pure friends. Slept under the same blanket and just chatted. Brother-in-law, don't mind us," I replied. "Willow and I are just neighbors." "Don't call me brother-in-law. Who slept under the same blanket with you?" "Stop talking nonsense," Willow said, pretending to kick him. "Didn't you sleep in the guest room?" Makoto laughed. "I was just trying to lighten the mood." I picked up the basket of blueberries and walked out. Makoto nudged Willow. "Why are you just standing there? If you don't chase after him now, you're really heading for a bad ending." Those blueberries weren't even for Willow. My mom had asked me to bring them over for Willow's parents to try. I didn't know Willow had already come back last night. If I had known, I wouldn't have come at all. Chapter 12. Back in my bedroom, I started a video call with Anna. The woman wore a pair of cool silver-rimmed glasses on her elegant, straight nose, giving off a full-on sophisticated, mature vibe. I took a photo of the blueberries and sent it to her. I said, "Does someone want some? These are homegrown blueberries from my place." She replied, "I do, but wait. It's only been a few days since you left, and now I've become someone." I rubbed my forehead. "Your focus is really something else, wifey." Anna let out a soft laugh. "Then I'll come to your house for New Year and eat them." Sure. I suddenly paused. "Wait, you're coming to my house?" she asked. "Is that okay?" Her expression turned serious. She said, "I miss you, and I'd also like to meet your parents." I asked, "Isn't that a bit too soon?" She replied, "Not at all. The sooner the better. After the new year, you'll be graduating soon anyway. Even an ugly daughter-in-law has to meet her in-laws eventually." I couldn't help but laugh. "Ugly? You're a beautiful wife." After the call ended, my mom saw the smile lingering on my face and immediately guessed what was going on. "You little brat. You're dating someone, aren't you?" she said. There was nothing to hide. So since she asked, I told her everything about Anna, and also about Willow and Makoto. My mom got so angry she slapped her thigh. She frowned and said, "I really misjudged Willow. If I had known she had such poor boundaries with other men, I wouldn't have given her such big red envelopes every year." Then she asked about Anna, her expression carrying a hint of concern, until I pulled out my trump card, a photo of me and Anna together. My mom's eyes lit up. This girl is really pretty. She and my son look perfect together. Chapter 13. After the new year. Once all the family visits were done, both Willow's family and mine gathered together as usual. During the meal, Willow suddenly picked up a few pieces of braised beef and placed them into my bowl. I froze for half a second. Willow's mother teased from the side. "Oh my, you're not even married yet and you already know how to take care of him." But my mom immediately picked up the beef and put it back into Willow's bowl, still smiling warmly as she said, "Willow, George doesn't eat beef. You can have it yourself." Willow opened her mouth as if to speak, but stopped. At that moment, someone brought up the topic of bride price. One of Willow's relatives joked with me. "George, you've been saving money for so many years. Have you saved up the 300,000 bride price to marry Willow yet?" As soon as he finished speaking, Willow looked at me. It was obvious she wanted to know how much I had saved. I was just about to say that I had recently bought a new car that cost exactly 300,000. When my mom suddenly burst into laughter. "No need to save any more," she said. "George has a girlfriend now. She's coming over tomorrow." It was like a stone thrown into still water, stirring up waves. Willow's expression changed instantly. The chopsticks in her hand dropped to the floor. "A girlfriend? What girlfriend? Why don't I know about this?" The other elders also looked surprised. Then my mom dropped another bomb. "Hey Willow, didn't you also bring your boyfriend home the other day? The one with green hair and earrings?" She was clearly referring to Makoto. Willow's parents' expressions turned a little awkward. Her mother quickly smiled and said, "Oh, that was probably just a friend." Willow's face flushed slightly as she explained. "He's my best friend." "Auntie, please don't misunderstand." My mom raised an eyebrow and said, "Oh, your best friend, a male best friend, and he even stayed over at your house for a night. That's quite close. I guess I'm getting old. I really don't understand you young people anymore." The elders present had decades more life experience. They could more or less guess what was going on. By mutual understanding, no one brought up the childhood betrothal between Willow and me again. Especially Willow's father. He looked so angry it seemed like he might slap her at any moment. The other elders also began to lecture Willow, telling her to maintain proper boundaries between men and women and not to blur those lines by calling men good friends. Willow grew increasingly impatient under the scolding. Avoiding her father's gaze, she said irritably, "Instead of just criticizing me, shouldn't you all be more concerned about what kind of girlfriend George has?" My mom replied, "You should know her, Anna." George said she also graduated from C University. The moment the name Anna was mentioned, Willow visibly relaxed, disbelief written all over her face. She let out a cold laugh and said, "Auntie, do you know what kind of person Anna is at our school?" My mom grinned. "Of course, a goddess-level figure." Willow chuckled. "Exactly. So how could someone like Anna possibly be George's girlfriend?" Chapter 14. In the afternoon. After the gathering ended and the elders all went off to do their own things, Willow pulled me aside to a quiet corner. Her tone carried a hint of teasing as she said, "George, what you said at lunch about having a girlfriend, that was a lie, right?" I shrugged casually. "I really do have a girlfriend." I smiled and continued, "Why would I lie to you? Or rather, what would I gain from lying to you?" Willow acted as if she hadn't heard me and went on talking to herself. "Whatever. I don't know why you'd lie and say Anna Sr. is your girlfriend, but that's not important. What I want to ask is, what New Year gift did you prepare for me this year? I'll give you a hint. This time I also prepared something for you. Not some cheap 9 mousepad from discount sites." I was speechless. At this point, was she seriously still expecting me to buy her that necklace? I waved my hands repeatedly. No, don't get me anything. I wouldn't be able to accept it. You should give it to your best friend instead. And by the way, I have no plans to give you anything either. She pouted. "I already told you. Helping Makoto was just because I wanted to help the version of myself back then. He's a financially struggling student in our class. I just wanted to help him without hurting his pride." I stared at her silently for a few seconds. Then I started clapping. "Oh wow, you're so kind, so noble. Honestly, they should move the Buddha statues out of the mountains and let you sit there instead." Willow sighed. "Don't be so sarcastic. I'm serious. If you really can't stand him, I can cut him off," I said expressionlessly. "That's your business. You don't need my opinion," she said. "Anyway, just come to my house first. I'll give you your New Year gift." "I'll pass," I replied. She snorted. "It's really not something cheap this time." I picked it carefully. Without giving me a choice, she grabbed my arm, trying to pull me toward her house. If this had been a few years ago, I might have been excited just because she was giving me something. But now, there was only one thought in my mind. This is so annoying. Just then, the low hum of a car engine approached. A pink Maserati pulled up in front of my house. My eyes lit up instantly. That was Anna's car. Taking advantage of Willow being momentarily stunned, I pulled my arm free from her grip. She asked, "Who's that?" I said, "My girlfriend's here." Chapter 15. I quickly opened the courtyard gate. "George." Anna smiled at me. She was wearing a cream-colored cashmere coat, carrying the LV bag I had given her. Her eyes were gentle, her long hair flowing, and the moment she saw me, she threw herself into my arms. That scene right in front of us was a massive shock to Willow. She stood frozen, staring blankly, even rubbing her eyes. Anna Senior, she's really your girlfriend. How is that possible?" I was both surprised and delighted. "Didn't you say you'd come tomorrow?" she said. "I wanted to see you sooner, so I came early." My parents also came out to greet her. It was their first time meeting their future daughter-in-law, and they were so nervous they kept rubbing their hands awkwardly. "Oh my, Miss Anna, you're here." Anna smiled warmly. "Hello, Uncle and Auntie. I'm George's girlfriend, Anna Sue. You can just call me Nana." Willow was completely left out to the side, not even given a chance to speak. Right after that, Anna asked me to help carry the gifts from her car. There were cosmetics and skincare products for my mom, and tea and supplements for my dad. The trunk was packed full. Even my usually thick-skinned dad felt embarrassed. He said, "Nana, you're being too generous. You're just coming over to visit. Why bring so many things?" Anna smiled gently. "It's not much, just a small token of appreciation." I held her hand and led her into the living room. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Willow standing there in a daze. Her face had turned pale, but no one paid her any attention. That evening, our family went out to eat at a restaurant. At the dinner table, Anna carried herself with elegance and composure, speaking and acting with perfect poise. She even got along extremely well with my mom. After the meal, my mom kept holding her hand, chatting endlessly. My dad couldn't take it anymore and said, "Hey, old lady, let's head home. Let the young couple go out on their own." Only then did my mom realize, letting go of her hand. Right, son. Take Nana out for a walk. There's a flower market up ahead. You two should go take a look." Chapter 16. Anna's hotel was only about a kilometer away from my home. Since we couldn't act too openly at my house, we went to the hotel together. The moment we stepped inside, Anna slipped off her coat and wrapped herself around me. The gentle, composed woman from earlier shed all her restraint. Her kiss was passionate, and I held the back of her head, deepening it, beginning to take control, pressing forward without holding back. She had just eaten candied hawthorn, and even the kiss carried that sweet and sour taste, completely addictive. Between breaths, she asked, "After not seeing each other for so long, did you miss me?" "Of course I did," I replied. It had only been half a month, but Anna would often send me photos, subtly revealing post-shower shots, provocative outfit photos that hinted at more. Her perfect waist-to-hip ratio, and yet she carried that cold, distant beauty. No one would imagine that beneath that face was such a captivating, alluring side. After I stopped liking Willow, I realized there had never been any rain outside at all. I said, "Come here, let me check on you properly." Moments later, her eyes were slightly reddened at the corners, and her fair skin was marked with faint, intimate traces. "Yes, all my doing. How could you say you missed someone with just words? You had to prove it with actions." Chapter 17. Early the next morning, I accompanied Anna to walk around the town. It seemed to be her first time in a place like this. She looked around curiously, asking questions about everything. I patiently introduced my hometown to her, and whenever my throat grew dry from talking, she would hand me a drink at just the right moment. As we walked, Anna suddenly stopped. "What's wrong?" I asked, following her gaze. I turned my head. Willow was actually right behind us, trailing at an unhurried pace. Seeing that we had noticed her, she stepped out slowly from the shadows. I frowned. "Willow, why are you following us?" But she ignored me and spoke to Anna instead. "Ah, hello, Anna Senior. I'm Willow. I believe George has mentioned me before. I'm his childhood friend." She tried to appear calm, but the tension in her clenched hands betrayed her. Anna said calmly, "Sorry, George did mention he has a neighbor, but I don't quite remember the name." Willow's tone grew more urgent. "Then maybe you don't know, we actually have a childhood betrothal. Our families are very close." Anna cut her off. "A childhood betrothal, as long as one party doesn't agree, it doesn't count. Didn't you know that, Willow?" She glanced at me, then smiled faintly. "I still have a date with George, so I won't keep talking with you." Willow frowned. "Then I'll go with you. I come here often. I can be your guide." Anna lifted her eyes to look at me. I knew that even if I refused outright, Willow would still follow us stubbornly. So I said, "Suit yourself. If you want to follow, then follow." But very quickly, she couldn't keep up anymore, because when Anna looked up at me while I was talking, seeing her lips so close, I lowered my head and kissed her directly. Willow froze instantly, like she had turned to stone, and when I turned back again, her figure had already disappeared. Chapter 18. When I got home, I was humming to myself, in a great mood. A thin figure stood by the wall of my house. It was Willow. I walked past her expressionlessly. She was holding a box with a keyboard inside. She said, "A gift for you." I frowned. "No need," she said. "Didn't you say before you wanted an external keyboard for your laptop? I bought one for you. It might be a little late, though." I suddenly remembered. "Oh, that. I don't need it anymore," I said. "My girlfriend already got me a whole new computer setup." She froze in place, stunned. That's just how Anna is. If I give her a bag, she'll turn around and surprise me with something when she notices I'm struggling with lag on my computer. I said, "Sorry." Before stepping inside, I looked at her one last time. "Willow, I did like you before, but not anymore. We're all adults, now that everything's been said clearly. Stop clinging on. We can still be good neighbors." And honestly, I didn't even understand what she was clinging to. Wasn't I just an ATM simp to her before anyway? Willow said angrily, "Neighbors? Is it because you think I spent too much of your money, or is it because of Makoto?" Her voice slowly choked up. She said, "Just tell me, I can change. I just want to know, can our childhood betrothal still count?" I replied, "No." After that day, Willow locked herself in her room every day, refusing to come out no matter who tried to persuade her. But every day, I would receive her messages. "I was wrong. George, can you forgive me?" The same words, over and over again. In the end, I had no choice but to block her number as well. Chapter 19. As graduation approached in my 4th year of university, I was busy writing my thesis and preparing for my defense. I ran into Willow in the cafeteria. She looked much more worn down than before. When she saw me, she seemed like she wanted to say something, but stopped herself. After Anna had spoken to her privately, she no longer dared to approach me at school. Late at night, Anna, with her hair tied up, looked especially captivating. Then a call came in, ruining the mood. It was from an unknown number, but when I answered, it was Willow. She sounded like she had been drinking. Her voice choked as she said, "George, I was so stupid. I only realize now that what you said was true. Makoto never wanted to be just a pure friend. When I got drunk, he actually tried to do something to me. There's no such thing as pure friendship between men and women. I was too naive," she said. "But I don't like him. The one I like is you. And look at this. This is what you gave me before." As she spoke, she sent me a photo. It was a plush toy I had given her back in middle school. Inside the gift box was still a card, with childish handwriting that read, "My wish is to marry Willow someday." She said, "Look, we used to be so close. Just because I said I wanted it, you stayed up all night to line up and buy me this doll, and even made a wish like that." For once, I replied to her, "Willow, can you do me a favor?" Her voice trembled. "What favor?" I said. "Help me cross out the name Willow and change it to Anna." "Thanks." Willow fell silent. After that, on graduation day, someone in the crowd noticed that Anna had also come to the ceremony. She looked stunning, her makeup refined, her expression cool yet carrying a hint of warmth. The crowd instantly became lively. A girl asked her, Senior, are you here to give a speech at our graduation ceremony?" "No," she said. Then she pointed at me, standing there in my graduation gown and waving at her. She smiled lightly. "That's my boyfriend. I'm here to give him flowers."